When my mother was visiting just recently, we got hooked, as people do, watching a Netflix series called Atypical. It was an excellent series. It follows the story of a teenager with autism named Sam Gardner, as well as his family, as they navigate the highs and lows of life and growing up and growing older. In one particular episode, it's Sam's younger sister's, Casey's, birthday as she turns 16 years old. Now, during their childhood, Sam and Casey developed a unique and extensive ritual together, especially in order to help him focus his care on his sister on her special day. However, as they've matured, you might imagine that Casey, now well into her teens and more interested in a party with her friends, is not so interested in this childhood ritual. Sam, on the other hand, can't let it go. It's imperative to him that they drink the chocolate milk and play the silly game and dance their silly dance. Plus, of course, he has to wake his sister up at her exact birth minute, which naturally is 3:15 a.m., in order to wish her happy birthday the same exact amount of times as her age in a row, so 16 times, saying happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, and to make a Casey sandwich, code for a big group family hug, and to draw the birthday comic, and so on. Sam's a very talented artist. As his sister resists joining in the fun, Sam becomes more and more agitated at her reluctance to partake in their childhood tradition. He's obsessed with the ritual. He has to perform the ritual. The ritual must be completed in its entirety, or else Casey's birthday is ruined in Sam's eyes. So we can pause here to ask ourselves, why is Sam so attached, and why might he have been so insistent on this ritual occurring? I might firstly suggest that it's because ritual is the symbol of promise. This is the central focus of our Shabbat's parashah, a double parashah, Matot Maseh, which includes a detailed account, as we just heard, of the biblical rules regarding oaths and vows. The men of Israel are charged with honoring their verbal commitments, whilst the women, not so much. It's elaborated how they can fulfill their vows only if their fathers or husbands do not object, and we're just giving some background here. The father or the husband, if they object to the vow immediately upon hearing about it, thereby annul the vow, and the woman bears no responsibility for the commitment she's made. Widows and divorcees are the only women permitted to make vows of their own, and women who do not marry for whatever reason are not mentioned at all, because presumably this was rare enough that the thought didn't even occur. For Sam, this ritual with his sister is a promise in and of itself. It's the promise that no matter what else has transpired or whatever will happen in the year to come, that they will share this moment each and every year, to touch base and reconnect, and to be the same Sam and Casey they've always been. For a little bit of context, and apologies for the spoilers, the one year that Sam broke his arm and could not fulfill the ritual, his pet turtle died, and he doesn't want his current pet turtle to suffer either. Additionally, Sam and Casey recently learned on the show that their mother cheated on their father. There's a lot of family drama happening. So the idea that some things in life stay consistent must have been greatly appealing. This brings us squarely to our next idea, that ritual, this promise of ritual, is also of comfort. In a parashah largely about oaths and vows, we can think about the comfort we derive from the familiar and the time-honoured. We can reflect on the comfort we take in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, as we'll do shortly, for example, with the cadence of those ancient words praising God's holy name and sovereign role in our world, rolling off our tongues and linking us not only to our dearly departed loved ones, but those we've lost before, and those who make up the minyan in this sacred space too. We can reflect on the comfort also found in the flickering of the Shabbat candles, whether here in our sanctuary or at home on our tables, their warm glow reminding us that no matter where we are, the peace of Shabbat comes, as they say, every week. Furthermore, we can equally reflect on the comfort of the Kol Nidre, the All Vows chant, an example given in Ellen Frankel's book, The Five Books of Miriam, recited in all of its haunting glory on Yom Kippur evening. The strum of the strings and the memories of the melody stir a strong sense of nostalgia within us, as we recall perhaps our childhood sitting on our father's or grandfather's laps, or if you were like me, causing chaos with our peers in the foyer as teenagers. For Sam, the birthday ritual was not just about focusing on helping his sister feel appreciated on the one day of the year entirely about her. It also helped him to feel embraced by the stability and the structure that someone like him so craved, and the security that came with knowing each year there was this moment for the siblings to know that no matter what, some things never changed, including the bond between a brother and sister, even as the subjects themselves changed in leaps and bounds. Yet, in his adamancy to continue the ritual long after Casey was willing to participate, it actually became all about Sam, and in turn became more of a hindrance than a help, because, as their mother points out, it was no longer about Casey or even about the siblings together. The late great Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory then reflects on the purpose of ritual in the first place. He brings up the wisdom of our Midrashim, which is that ritual is an antidote to the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, that they enable us to receive a reward for our obedience, and that ritual develops character. He brings up Maimonides, who believes that rituals are a defense against idolatry. Yet the one that speaks to Sacks the most is actually that of contemporary neuroscientist Antonio Damasio. And it is the idea that ritual enables us to form new patterns of instinctual behavior as it bypasses the prefrontal cortex, i.e. it operates on the unconscious level. Contrary to Sam from Atypical's hopes and wishes, Sacks and Damasio, by extension, argue the opposite, that instead of maintaining the status quo or being tunnel-visioned, ritual, in fact, reconfigures our neural pathways and our very characters until we do and feel certain things differently, until we're no longer the people that we were before. That's because it's hard to feel like the same person that we might have been after reciting Kaddish every day for a year following the death of a parent. And it's hard to feel like the same person that we were before when we might have started the tradition, for example, of baking challah every week, and then suddenly find ourselves up at the cottage during the summer with no challah in sight. Our episode of Atypical ends with some big learnings on the part of our protagonist, Sam, that we can take with us too. He states that there are rituals in nature that animals do without question, such as a peacock displaying its colourful feathers. It simply might have to do with survival. He then says, and I quote, that although we don't need ritual like animals do, some of them are still kind of nice. We then witness that in the emotional maturity he's gained in realizing that he has been frustrating, to say the least, to his sister, and taken the focus away from what should be her day, despite this actually being the opposite intention. He's able to adapt and grow, to use ritual to no longer stay the same. For example, eventually, because of his sister's dislike of the traditional happy birthday song, the family and friends who gather to celebrate sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star instead. Sam then still gives Casey her traditional birthday comic, but does this privately and quietly at the end of the day. He also shares that he's withheld big news, that he not only got into university, but also into his dream course on that very same day because he didn't want to take the attention away from his sister, if only for a few moments. To quote Rabbi Sachs, ritual changes the world by changing us. Sam has changed by becoming less self-centered and more able to see outside of his own incredible world, an amazing feat that we too can learn from. As a result, he restores the peace between himself and his sister, who he deeply loves and cares for. Because, to use a line from Sam, that's what rituals do. They make everything okay. As we reflect on the role of ritual in our own lives, as you might have seen in Rabbi Splansky's rabbinic reflection a few weeks ago, there is much to think about, and we encourage you to talk to your clergy about ritual. It's something we love to do, and in helping you and your family find comfort and joy, to navigate the line between tradition and innovation, to weave together meaning and modernity, we delight in your walking of life's twisting and ever-changing paths, with the backing of Jewish wisdom and guidance to sustain you, of course. May you subsequently find promise in the growth and transformation therein, and ultimately, as we come to the end of the book of Numbers this Shabbat, be strengthened, for it is written, Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, be strong, and be strengthened.